Welcome back to Have You Heard? My name is Zoe. I'm one of the co-founders and managing director here at The Social Shepherd, and today I'm joined by
Joey.
Joey.
I'm paid media director here at The Social Shepherd. You guys will probably all seen me before, but today I am back with Zoe and we're talking to you today about Broadmatch in Google.
And I will say, I am a social girly. Social is probably my area of expertise. I'm not a search girly. So, Joey, we've been trying to do this for a while where you're like, Joey teaches Zoe about search.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to do it as much as possible, and I've been picking up bits along the way. Obviously, understand sort of the general strategy about it, but I'm sort of less technically sort of understanding across it all. So today you're going to teach me about Broadmatch.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of new, but very old also. It was, I guess, to give a bit of context for all the listeners, Google have always had several different match types for Google. So back in the day, it used to be Broadmatch modified, phrase match, and exact match.
Mm-hmm.
Broadmatch modified has gone away now. They've got rid of that. It's been replaced by phrase match. But Broadmatch back in the day was kind of, for any PPC expert, something that you stay very, very clear away from. The way that Google used to match those keywords was just rogue. You used to get all sorts of random stuff that your keywords would match to, which would mean that the quality of traffic that was hitting your website was just absolutely terrible. So
I guess that's kind of in the name of it. Really.
Broad. Yeah. Exactly. But things have changed massively over the last kind of 3 to 6 months for Google. We've had PMAX for 18 months now, since November 2021, but Broadmatch is kind of like Google's new thing that they're trying to push at the moment. We were very, very skeptical when Google came to us and said, can you push some spend through Broadmatch? And we were just like, no, we don't want to do that. Obviously, because of the history of the product, we didn't really want to go near it because we knew it always used to have complete negative impact on all of the accounts that we used to run it on. But the way that it now is impacting ad accounts is actually more on the positive side of things. So I think since the introduction of Performance Max, we've seen our phrase and exact match kind of get cannibalized a little bit. So the more spend that we're pushing through on Performance Max, the less spend we're then getting through on our phrase and exact match campaigns for all of our manual search activity. So we're needing to come up with an alternative to try and make sure that we're still getting volume through our search side of things as well as PMAX, because we don't just want PMAX running through all of our Google Ads accounts. We still want a bit of control over what we're running, essentially.
Well, yeah, and if everyone just ran PMAX, then...
Well, then it's just, exactly. So how we used to structure all of our ad accounts was we would split out our manual search campaigns by theme. So for an e-com client, that would typically be by product category in terms of how you structure your kind of website. When you've got your nav bar at the top, we would usually kind of pick out those categories on there and then structure the campaigns via that. We then run something called single keyword ad groups, or SKAGs, which is essentially where you're splitting out your phrase and exact match into their own ad groups. And the reason we did that was for the sake of quality score. And there's several elements that make up quality score, essentially. But one of them is kind of the relevance of the keyword that you're matching to and the kind of content or copy that you're putting within your ad copy. So you want to make sure that all of that copy is relevant to all of the keywords to make sure that your quality score is as high as possible, to make sure your CPCs are low, and then your margins are higher. Essentially, you're getting traffic through to your site cheaper. So that's fine. We still follow that methodology, but phrase and exact match is kind of becoming a bit redundant now because PMAX is now cannibalizing. So Google are now saying use your broad match activity instead, because you've got a much wider reach in terms of the keywords that you can match to. And actually, from a performance standpoint, we're now starting to see the positive impact of Broadmatch introducing it to our ad accounts.
So what client industries have you been testing it in thus far?
So homeware and fashion at the moment are kind of the two main product categories. Like we said, kind of the way that it used to match from a broad match side of things was so rogue that we just never used to go near it. But because the AI has developed so much now, the matching is so much more efficient. And again, because we're now using automated bidding strategies like target CPA, target ROAS on all of our activity, the combination of both of those works kind of hand in hand together, because Google's looking at all of your kind of browser signals in terms of when you're a high intent user to purchase or convert on a user's website, on a client's website.
Is it basically just that Google's gotten smarter through like
Pretty
the
much.
use of AI? Is it kind of a similar conversation of, you know, years ago when we would say to clients, like, you need to train your pixel, like treat your pixel like it's a baby on Facebook, it needs to learn.
Yeah.
Is it just that Google's done its learning and now it's able to
Pretty-
optimize that?
Pretty much, yeah. So we're now in that position now where we can see, you know, the keywords that it's matching to are really relevant, because it's now got an element of site crawl involved as part of that, to make sure that the keywords that it's matching to are relevant to actually what you're selling on your site. And it really doesn't go too rogue outside of that. You still have to do your search query reports, which is where you look at what people are actually searching for and negative out anything that's kind of not relevant. But the kind of scope that in comparison to what that used to be is so much different now, and it's so much more efficient. So we've been doing a lot of testing across different industries, and actually only really seen positive impact so far.
How long have we been running?
About 2 months now.
Okay, nice.
So we've got a bit of data behind them. But realistically, the main thing that we're seeing is similar results, but an increased volume. So from a scaling perspective, that is exactly what you want to hear. Considering we were kind of capping out with phrase and exact match in terms of the volume that we could get through, especially with the PMAX cannibalization. We're now seeing that we've got the opportunity to reach wider and broader audiences that are searching at a similar cost efficiency, which is completely allowing us, you know, to scale much harder and faster across the accounts that we're testing it on. And we're testing it kind of like a campaign by campaign basis. So we'll test it on one product category, see how it gets on, run it against kind of phrase and exact match for a little bit. But then kind of Google's best practice from that point is to turn off your phrase and exact match and kind of let broad match take over, because it will still match to the same keywords that your phrase and exact match are also matching to as well. So it kind of gives you the full flexibility there to then start running your campaigns just from a broad match basis.
Do we think it's going to have a long-term impact?
Yeah, I think I think, to be honest,
things change all the time, to be fair, but
well, we're seeing the landscape becoming more and more AI driven now anyway. You know, Performance Max has kind of been at the forefront of Google now, as I said, for like the last 18 months, which is, you know, a completely AI driven campaign.
But I guess the thing is that whilst we can say it probably is going to be part of the future, Google, your Facebooks, all of your paid media channels, they're consistently developing the platforms and the services themselves anyway, because it doesn't aid them for anything to stay the same.
Yeah.
So whilst we can say that it's part of the future, that future is also really 18 months out as far as you can probably predict.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Google are getting rid of dynamic search ads. Those are being integrated within PMAX itself. And I think, to be honest, there's been no announcements about it on the Google side of things, but the likelihood of phrase and exact match being sunsetted is probably quite likely, considering how much they're pushing broad match at the moment. When Google do that, it typically means they're trying to sunset other products to be able to kind of bring that to the forefront. So I expect that's going to be kind of become a core part of our strategy. And we want to make sure that we're on board with it now, so we can get all the learnings and understand how to work with it in the best way, so that should those changes come in the future, we're in the best place to then kind of manage all the accounts. But over the last it really has been kind of like the last 18 months, I think the landscape has probably changed the most that I have seen since I've been in the industry for the last 6 years, and most quickly as well with the introduction of kind of the AI driven campaigns.
To be fair, I think we've seen that across everything. Like, we just did a strat day and we were saying to the team, like, paid, the principles of paid sort of remain, if that makes sense, but it's changed. But for other job roles in this business, like, literally the job role is completely different to what you would hire for. So I agree that, like, overall digital industry has changed completely, and it's been such a
But
quick
we've
pace.
had to completely change our campaign structure and our kind of agency best practice campaign structure now with these new AI driven campaigns that have come in terms of the way that we're pushing budget through accounts. Like with ASC, for example, that has completely thrown a curveball into how we would have typically managed kind of paid social activity beforehand. But it's interesting. You know, the automation taking over in the elements of, you know, of targeting allows us to be more fluid with the way that we're spending our time with, creative tracking, reporting, and delivering insights back to clients. And I think that's where the real value of working with digital agencies is going to kind of change to, because the whole audience planning piece that comes alongside of it will have its place in terms of kind of the way that you want to build and develop your creative to the audiences that you're targeting. But that specific audience piece to build those audiences is just not going to be relevant anymore because AI is just taking over to do so.
Well, I think that's exactly why we have always believed in agencies creating creative, strategizing the creative, writing the ad copy. There's a lot of agencies who will literally just do your campaign builds and strategy as such, but they won't write any ad copy, and it all comes in together. Like, AI is great, but you need to be able to feed it with effective tools to be able to
understand how it works, to understand, to know what to feed it, in what format, in what style, to be able to get the most out of it. And I think from our standpoint, we're always trying to lead at the forefront of everything kind of new and developing within the industry. And I know some agencies do get a little bit stuck in the past with kind of wanting to maintain control. We're kind of wanting to remain having control over what they're doing, but it's moving so fast that you're just not going to be able to have the control at some point anyway, and you're going to need to be able to leverage that.
And ultimately, the decisions need to be made on what's going to get the best performance for the client or the account that you're working on. I think you kind of need to throw any ego you have outside of it and say, like, I can do this better than AI can. It's like, it's not a competition between the two. It's, have you got the skill sets to be able to use something that might actually be able to do a better job than you can in certain areas, but feed it to make it even smarter than everyone else is utilizing it. So I think it's a bit daft, really.
Do you watch the US Office, or have you watched the US Office?
No, I haven't watched the Office.
There's an episode of the US Office where they upgrade their website to be able to start processing sales through it. And then Dwight has a competition with the website to see who can sell the most paper.
Who won?
It was Dwight in the end, to be fair. But, I think we're at that stage now where people need to...
Might be the website. Yep. Cool. Well, look, thank you for teaching me.
That's all right.
I feel more up to scratch now. I think we've got a little while to go. Cool. But anything else to add on Broadmatch, or just general?
I don't think so, no. I think, it's just, again, more interesting times coming up, and, we'll keep you guys updated for all those who are listening, watching us. The industry is just moving so fast at the moment that, there's just so many updates coming out.
We're like sprinting alongside it to try and keep up at the minute.
It's pretty wild.
It's all good changes. It's all stuff that everything speeds up and slows down, and it will settle at some point. But you are right that it's speedy at the minute. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much to everyone watching, listening, however you're consuming this media type. And as Joey said, we'll keep you up to date and see you next time.
Thanks very much. See you later.
Bye.